Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 17th meeting. We need to wait another couple of minutes. We got some people en route before we can really get going here. We need to have a 6-person quorum, but we got 5 now. We're waiting on one more, so just y'all hang tight. All right, guys, our 6 is in the building, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to the January 17, 2024 meeting of the City of Tuscaloosa Planning and Zoning Commission. This meeting allows for alternate participation in order to accommodate all citizens. Any written comments sent to staff were forwarded to the commission directly. This time, I'd like to introduce our staff. Jimbo Woodson, Deputy City Attorney. Michael Garner, City Engineer. Congratulations, by the way, Mike, officially. Zach Pons, Director of Planning, Haley Webb, Development Review Coordinator, and Lily McIntyre, Special Projects Coordinator. There are 9 members of the Planning Commission, all of whom are appointed by the mayor for staggered terms with the exception of the City Council representative who is appointed by the City Council. I ask that the commission members introduce themselves and state their occupation, beginning with Ms. Hornsby.
Ann Hornsby, attorney.
Eddie Pugh, retired.
John Smith, Deputy Director, Environmental Services.
Dina Prince, attorney.
Tim Harrison, general contractor.
Bill Wright, business owner. There are sign-up sheets outside for public comment. 4 speakers are allowed to speak in favor of a petition, and 4 speakers are allowed to speak in opposition of a petition. All speakers who will have a maximum of 5 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. The commission will take up items in the order of our final agenda. The commission will initially receive a presentation from the staff as to the details of the agenda item. Additionally, we may hear certain matters involving the same property, such as annexation and a zoning matter concurrently, although we will take separate votes on each matter involving the same property. After the staff presentation, we'll then call upon the petitioner to present their case. The petitioner will have a maximum of 10 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. At the conclusion of the petitioner's remarks, I will then call on any other party in order of sign up or otherwise who desires to support the petition, and thereafter will call upon in order those who oppose the petition. When it's your turn for comment, please introduce yourself and state your name and address for the record. Any written comments, again, have been included into the record. After receiving the remarks of those who oppose the petition, the petitioner will have the opportunity to address those objections. Any rebuttal will be limited to 2 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. If the petitioner presents any new information in response to the objections, we will allow those who oppose the opportunity to respond to the new information only. Any response may be limited to 2 minutes unless the commission votes to allow a longer time. During the course of this presentation, you may be interrupted by any member of the commission for clarification or additional information. Such interruptions will not reduce your time limit. Once the commission members are satisfied they've received all relevant information, we'll then close the further discussion by the public, at which time the commission members will discuss the matter and then vote. After the vote, you are free to leave. These proceedings are video recorded and broadcast live. All in-person public comments should be made at the podium into the microphone. Comments made by phone or virtually are all video recorded through the conferencing application. So again, please first state your name and address for the record. Jurisdiction. In all matters pertaining to subdivision regulations, approval of subdivisions within the city and its planning jurisdiction, and as to amendments, plan unit developments, and located outside the city limits, this commission serves as the final authority. As to matters pertaining to historic buffer zone construction, our decision is subject to appeal to the City Council. As to all remaining agenda items, including original zonings, rezonings, planned unit developments within the city, and street vacations, this commission serves as a recommending body to the City Council. In that regard, our decisions are in the form of a recommendation to be presented to the City Council. The City Council will make the final decision on those matters. Subdivision approval requires the affirmative vote of 6 members of the Planning Commission. All matters which are recommendations to City Council require a majority vote for an affirmative recommendation. At this time, do any members of the commission have any conflicts of interest as to matters before us tonight? If so, please state for the record. Okay, having heard none, I would ask the staff to confirm on the record that proper notice has been given to all parties and interests as required by law as to all matters before the commission tonight.
It has.
All right, with that, we'll begin with the approval of the minutes, which we did that. Let's see here, we have the minutes for the December 23 meeting. I will move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes, the same unless there are any deletions, additions, or corrections. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, minutes are approved.
All right, so we have one item on the consent agenda. We did not have anyone sign up to speak.
Okay. No one cares to speak on this matter. Forest Commission, we have one consent agenda item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
We had two items that are companion cases, a PUD and a PUD subdivision that have been continued. They were continued last month, and they're also continuing this month. So we can just continue on from here to cases to be heard. So first up, plan unit development. We have P0124. This is a mixed-use plan unit development consisting of 18 residential condominium units and an outdoor amenity area on approximately 11.3 acres located at 8500 Mount Batten Road Northeast. This is Council District 3. You guys are familiar with this project. This is at the North River Yacht Club. This came before you previously, and it is coming before you again because it is actually changing up a little bit. So based off the narrative that they have just submitted for this new updated application, they are going with 18 residential condominium units. They will still have structured parking. It was 32, I believe, previously. So pretty significant decrease in density per units, but the floor plan or the building footprint is not changing, just the structure itself. There's still that outdoor amenity space, which includes a private pool with view of the lake. There's condominium units. The people who own the condominium units are going to be able to required to maintain a membership at North River and be able to access those amenities as well. And then the building will honor both the architectural style of classic lakefront residences and the unique architectural identity of the North River Yacht Club. So here is that site layout. You can see the area we're talking about is kind of outlined. Floor plan, so this is level 1. You can see that pool space, some residences, the lobby area, the parking on the first floor, and then level 2, fitness center, again, lobby area, and some residences, and then level 3 has a couple more residences there, and then the parking on the top level. And then level 4, you also have some more residences and common space. So here are some elevations. You can see the west and the east here, and then the north and the south. The south would be facing the lake. And then some renderings, very similar to what you previously had, a little bit more updated. And so technically this does not conform to framework. Framework identified this location as open space. The reason being it was always open space up until that point. But, you know, as y'all know, you have approved this in the past when framework was active as well. And seems to fit the area for what's going on there today. So that's the future land use character map. And that is all we have for this one. Do you have any questions for me?
We'll hear from the petitioner. I mean, nothing really changed besides the density.
That's right.
So, petitioner.
Evening, Commission. Andy Turner, 1810 Commons North Drive, Suite 1, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35406. We're seeking to amend the PUD. It's the same basic building. If you remember from the previous presentation, the changes to this, you know, when you start a project like this, you think you know what the market wants, and then you learn what the market wants. And what we found is that The buyers that are purchasing these are using these for permanent residences and wanting much larger units. So you'll see that part of the reduction in units is where we've combined 2 or 3 units together to make a single unit. And then we eliminated the side that was kind of in the slough. Those 6 units were eliminated from the property. But this kind of has resulted mainly from the sales process to make the changes to meet the needs of the buyers that we've been able to attain to date. Everything else is pretty much the same. We really didn't change any of the amenity package to the property, and those are the main changes.
Number of floors changed, or is it still the same?
We did eliminate, so there was 3 units down below. So right now there's 4 stories. If you look my right side over there, down below, there was 3 units in that what is now a stone area that were eliminated. Yep, there you go, right down there. So now it's just 4 stories instead of 6.
Any questions for petitioner? Thank you. Anyone care to speak for or against the petition request? I don't know, we don't have the sign-up sheets. Staff, anybody sign up for anything? Okay, thank you. Anyone, again, care to speak for or against? Okay, thank you. Again, I think this is just the market's dictated the changes here, and I think they're in line with what we approved previously. So that's my 2 cents on it. And, anyone else care to comment or ask any questions? Okay. All right, Commissioner, before us, we have T0124. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
All right, next up, we have a Riverfront Development District proposal to you guys. So this is RD 0124. This is called the Druid. So River Hill LLC is petitioning to develop 1 existing multifamily residential structure into a mixed-use building with commercial space on the ground floor and 20 one-bedroom units on the first floor and second floor on the property located at 219 Greensboro Avenue. This is Council District 1. The location of the property, y'all are probably pretty familiar with this property. It's on the corner of Greensboro Avenue and Jack Warner. It's been vacant for a while now, and it is in the RD district, and so it comes before there's an RAC, Riverfront Advisory Committee, and then you guys, and then ultimately to City Council. We don't have many of these, so that's the process that they are going through. This is the existing building. These are the existing buildings today, and then that backside on Jack Warner. So that's going to be the commercial component. So per the narrative that's submitted by the petitioner, these are 21-bedroom condos that will be for sale, and then they are upgrading the commercial space in the north basement, which they are going to keep and sell the units, is what they've stated. So the units are planned to be priced at $275 to $299. There will be major facade and interior improvements, as y'all are familiar with, and the redevelopment will help to finish out the other major investments at this intersection. So this is pretty much that kind of last piece, other than just the property to the east. And of course, they are going to have a condo association, which will be managed by a professional management company. So here are those 2 buildings, and then the basement level. So it's actually pretty significant in size, and they can talk a little bit more about that. And then building A, so adjacent to Jack Warner. And then the basement level of building B, and then the level 1 of building B, and level 2. Here are the elevations. You can see the south elevation on the top of your page, and then west elevation under that, and then a 3D view kind of looking from Jack Warner and for building A. And then some more elevations here. And so you can see they are upgrading the windows, upgrading the exterior pretty significantly. They are doing some renovations to the commercial space to kind of upgrade those roll-up doors to where they're more pedestrian-friendly, more open. And again, of course, they can talk more about that and their vision for that. So staff comments. So Office of the City Engineer and Planning both have stated that we'd like to see sidewalks along Jack Warner Parkway with this development. And then additionally, the valley gutter will need to be replaced with standard curb and gutter along Jack Warner Parkway. And this was discussed at the Riverfront Advisory Commission. So we did meet on January 11th to discuss this project. The commission members that were present were Evan Malone, Kelly Reinhart, and Brian Gray. There are a couple of statements from it. So one, they were really obviously excited about this project. It's going to be a significant reduction of blight on this corner here. So that's a very exciting thing. All three commissioners expressed that they expect the petitioner to exceed expectations for this project. Commissioner Reinhart and Commissioner Gray also expressed that they would like a successful result regarding the sidewalks between the city and the petitioner, and that's kind of an ongoing discussion that we're having with the petitioner as well, that we can talk a little bit more about that if necessary. But that's all we have for this specific project. Do you have any questions for me?
I like their neutrality in the sidewalk decision there. Can you be a little more vague on that?
So yeah, a lot was discussed about, you know, who pays for the sidewalks, why weren't they developed when the Jack Warner Parkway project went through, topography issues that the developer sees could be a hindrance, ADA accessibility along there, which Mr. Gardner can speak a little bit more to as well, but all of that is on private property where they would be developing the sidewalk. I believe that we'd probably ask for that or get an easement for that. It'd probably have to be ADA accessible, but Mr. Gardner can speak more on that.
Let's hear from petitioner, and then
Yeah.
we'll have this conversation a little deeper. Petitioner.
Good evening. Richard Henry, 1901 8th Avenue, Tuscaloosa. He did a good job presenting the project. Y'all, I'm sure, are familiar with this site. Our plan is to,
Can we pull up some of the renderings where we are now? Let's get off this commentary. All right, go ahead.
so, I mean, the basis of it is these are essentially motel rooms now. So we're gonna take two rooms that are next to each other, combine them, make one the living room, bathroom, make one the kitchen, kitchen, living room, one bedroom, bathroom. Just put two units that are next door to each other into one bedroom condo. We'll sell all of them is the plan. The basement, which is really, I never knew that it was this big. It goes all the way under the parking lot. So it's like 5,000 or 6,000 square feet of basement space.
Can we pull that up? There was a floor plan of that, if you don't mind.
And it's, the ceilings are really high. The only thing, really the only wall, let's see, on the top, those walls are still there. There's the divider wall in the middle, but we've removed this wall. So it's wide open. It's a really cool space. I don't know what it's gonna be. It may be as simple as one of those golf cart companies use it for storage. It may be a brewery or a neat assembly space. We don't know until we take it to market. Our plan right now is to sprinkle it and white box it, just get it cleaned up, get some lights in there so you can see. The roll-up doors and all of the penetrations that have been there over the years, most of them are blacked out and sealed. Just putting a lot of glass back in it, not really cutting any new holes, but adding glass where there used to be glass. We plan to get glass roll-up doors, so they can be roll-up doors, or they could just be like storefront essentially. You know, it'd be a neat gym. You know, you think these CrossFit gyms, some of that kind of stuff. We're really open to anything on it. I'm glad to answer any questions y'all have, and we can get into the sidewalk conversation as well.
Is that center wall, the load-bearing wall in the basement?
Yes. Yes, it is load-bearing in that center. you know, and we'll have, as we get through, right now, our plan is just to pull a white box permit on the basement, so we won't actually have everything involved. But if we do have an occupancy load, we may end up having to do a rated corridor or something to be able to get the ingress egress back out to the front in a fire rated corridor. So we'll work through that before we could get to that point.
What about parking for that commercial space?
So the total parking we have is about 20 spots for the 20 residential, so there's not any on-site parking for that downstairs.
Which would make it tough to put a gym in there.
Correct. I mean, so, yeah, I mean, so the market will tell us what we can do with it. You know, on one level, like tonight, there's probably plenty of parking around there. That's public parking,
Right.
diagonal at the park. Then you have a concert, and there's not any parking, but then there's a bunch of people. So it may work. Again, that's why we have left it as a big unknown of what we will do with that basement. It could very well end up being, like I said, like a golf cart storage place. I mean,
Right.
something, I'd love it to be something way neater
it'd
than
be
that. I'd love it to be something that we all enjoy, but the functionality will be a question of that.
Let me say this, in terms of that basement, make sure, whatever the assembly and occupant is, you may need 2 exits out of there.
That's what I was saying. So we have
So-
the existing exits. Due to the lot lines, we may have to build a fire-rated corridor inside of it, like you've got over at Urban Kitchen.
Right.
Because it'll have to come back out the front. We
That's
may-
right, that's what I'm saying. So
Yes, sir.
what that does is now that means that it may have to be accessible and sidewalks and things like that. Just something to think about.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So the sidewalk conversation kind of got sprung on us at the last minute. It wasn't brought up during the pre-design we had a few months ago. In theory, I don't disagree with it. But there was an LDP on this site in 2020 where it was determined it wasn't needed. There was right-of-way that was given to the city without charge to fix that radius going from Greensboro to Jack Warner. In exchange, the city was to improve this area here in that contract, that Jack Warner contract that was let the very end of 21, so about 24, 25 months ago. And it's in the contract that the contractor was supposed to remove the old swimming pool, sod it, redo all of that area. So the access, the easements, the right-of-way was all dedicated. And it was agreed that any work in that area, in the right-of-way or on private property, would be performed by the city's contractor. That was the negotiation at that time. They came in and built it. They have since increased the slope and the grade. They've planted a tree. The grades will be incredibly difficult to tie in all of the new work the city just put in. You basically have to redesign that whole corner to be able to get anything to ADA. The next problem is this drive, when it was poured from existing finished floor down to the new street grade, it's pretty steep on that far corner. You're not going to get ADA if you consider this to be a sidewalk. There's not the grade there for it.
Bring the
So
picture.
there's
Can
a
you bring the
lot of
site
issues on the site.
Bring that, yeah, thank you.
So as you can see there, that is it's pretty steep right in here. Again, in theory, I don't have a problem with the fact, but my question is they didn't design it for one. The city designed this project. It's still ongoing. I mean, it looks just like this today. The cones are still there. The wearing surface isn't down. The other issue you can't see on here, but you can kind of see here, they put a lot of the city, the underground power. Those transclosures or whatever you want to say are right down where you would put a sidewalk anywhere else additionally. There's not a sidewalk anywhere on this side of Jack Warner. The closest sidewalk on this side of Jack Warner would be all the way at 21st Avenue, north of the insurance center. So even the hotel that's down there, this new, has no sidewalk and has a huge transclosure in the middle of where you would put one. So I didn't design that project. I know it was before Mike was city engineer, but there was a clear decision not to put a sidewalk. And so that's our issue, is that we don't feel that we should have to pay for it, being with the right-of-way negotiation and that the city still has an ongoing infrastructure project there. So that's kind of our 2 cents on it. But
Well, I think everybody's in agreement the sidewalk is an area of concern. I guess we need to hear from legal and engineering about, what the petitioner's raising as far as the challenges in all areas. I mean, I do see, you can visually see there is some challenges there. However, there's got to be some middle ground where y'all can get what we want here. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. How we get there, I don't know. But, we mentioned the hotel. I mean, that's been a really challenging intersection for quite some time. It's had some problems, and this can only improve it or aspirate it, make it worse. So I don't know what we can do, but I'd like to get y'all's input. Engineering.
So I certainly understand Richard's point, and there were decisions made long before I took this position. And I've tried to do a little back history and find out, and I don't know that I've gotten every answer. I can tell you that I think sidewalk connectivity is paramount. I think it ought to be important to this developer and to every developer that wants to develop on the south side of Jack Warner. You start at this intersection and you do go east to the Comfort Inn. Once you get to the Comfort Inn, there are physical barriers, both distance from the right-of-way, structures too close to the road that make it physically impossible to get a sidewalk from Greensboro to 21st. But I think we have a great opportunity to get a sidewalk from the hotel back to Greensboro. I can't answer the question as to whether or not it's going to be impossible to meet ADA requirements. We've not done any design work yet. But I think our goal should be to get this sidewalk connectivity for the benefit of the city.
Bring back up the picture again. My question is, when I visualize a sidewalk, I visualize the curb and gutter, a little patch of grass, and sidewalk, and whatever the structure may be. In this case, it's all concrete from the building, which I'm assuming is the property line. Is the building the property line? Yeah. So
Pretty close.
So that's the city's pavement right there, right?
We installed that, yes, we did, in the contract for the construction.
So how, and looking at the grade, can you, just trying to figure out how you put you got a big sidewalk there now. But how do I could see connecting to Greensboro from the western corner of the building. And then if the property line is the building, then you're looking at about 3 to 4 feet that you have to put develop sidewalks down on the south side of Jack Warner, right?
So we have some flexibility with sidewalk location. If you look on the north side of Jack Warner, very close to this location, you have to go a little bit further on to the east. But again, constraints of room, there's a segment of sidewalk, I'm gonna guess it's maybe 200 feet long, where there's not a strip of grass between the back of the curb and the sidewalk. So I think we ought to explore options here about getting walkability, whether there's a grass strip, or we leave the valley gutter and we modify this concrete to make it ADA compliant if possible. I want to explore those options.
I think you're going to have to, from not only just a sidewalk, but just from the entrance out of the building. You're going to have to connect all of that to the sidewalk. So to your point, that whole from one end of the building to the sidewalk has to be studied, in my opinion, because you're going to have to, because you got this thing sloping from the building itself. You got the slope going, east to west on the sidewalk. So you're really going to have to study how all that ties together and some type of uniformity there.
That's right.
Mike, the statement that it might be impossible to get ADA, there's a way to get ADA accessibility.
There is a way, and there's
That's what
some
I'm saying. You
guidance.
just gotta study it. Yeah.
There's some limitations to that too.
Right.
You may have to do a switchback or something.
Correct.
That really is gonna be.
That's right, and there's some guidance and flexibility in what's called the PROAG, if y'all are familiar with that. It's just recently, I think it's been adopted
So
or
that
it's
if you
fixing.
can't get it, you can get as close as you can.
That's right. When you're dealing with existing conditions or rehabilitating an existing facility like this, it gives you some flexibility.
To a certain.
The ramp could never be used for parking, could it? I mean, it's just too narrow. So it's really of no use to you to park for a parking lot, correct?
No, and we've discussed that with staff. We would be glad to hash it yellow, put no parking signs.
Yeah.
We have no intentions of that, but, you know, we bought this property with that access to the basement. And until we are at a place where we know that we don't need that access, we're not inclined to
I guess, and I
give it up.
Hey, I understand the impact it's gonna be on you, just looking at it. It's more than just putting a strip of concrete down, I promise you. But whatever you do there, you're gonna need to get access to it. I mean, if this being a riverfront district, and you're not having any parks, somebody's gonna have to walk down there to get to it, so at some point in time, you're gonna have to put a sidewalk down there.
I don't disagree with you,
Right.
and we don't know how we would intend to do that yet. Our issue is the negotiation to give that right of way for no charge was that the city would do anything in there. Then the city just built everything you see except for our building. That concrete at that slope is like 3 or 4 weeks old. All that grade in this picture to the right, they just set all that grade. They set all of it and has made it cost 10 times more. We've already given them the right of way. If the city wants to build a sidewalk, we're not holding them up. They're asking us to pay for it in the middle of an infrastructure project, $6 million infrastructure project that's been going on for 25 months. They had every opportunity to do it, and now they just want us to pay for it, and that's what we're struggling with.
Yeah, I promise you that Mike has inherited a 25-month project that he would give back to you at any time. In dealing, we all understand where that project's at. Everybody does. Because of the delays, it is where it is. And in hindsight being 2020, I mean, this probably should have been done during the design concept and then, but it wasn't. We're where we are. So I mean, I understand the cost impact, but y'all are at the bottom of the food chain here, trying to get this thing approved, and that's kind of where we're at. So, Mike, let me ask you this: since they don't know what they're going to do there, and they'd have to come back to the city for an LDP at that point in time, is it logical? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Is it logical to just wait until that point to do it? Do they develop that outside of a box? I mean, that's one option. The other option is, from our standpoint, we're really, health and safety is one thing that we really look at in this. And it is an unsafe corner. It's been proven in the past. There's been several instances there that probably might have been helped if you had some sort of access or sidewalk there. So I'm kind of in the middle here.
Yeah, Mike, let me ask another question. I mean, because obviously the surface area that's been laid, is there a way that we could, if we agree we need sidewalks, right? I think everybody agrees with that. Is there a way to come up with some kind of, I'm gonna throw this out there, to work on at least the connectivity from Greensburg to the concrete where it is now? Because at least that way, absolute worst case, if they, y'all got to figure some things out here, but I'm just trying to think at a minimum, is that, do we do like a?
So look at what's on the screen now.
Okay.
The right-of-way line is not at the edge of the building. It's out there close to the back of the curb. On this little diagram that I made, the touch of color and then put it on there. Let's use this color. Here's the right of way. Right here. So the sidewalk ask is gonna be on their property without them giving us an easement or dedicating some additional right of way. What I understand in researching this, we didn't ask anybody for additional right of way outside of the corner where the truck kept knocking the bollards over and we needed to change that
So
radius.
we were the only person in this whole project to give right of way.
Well, your predecessor gave it to you, to us. So, there's valid points here that the city should, I think, should have some participation in accomplishing this, but we're gonna need their help. We don't like sidewalks on private property. We prefer those to be in the public right of way.
So what do you, when you say the city's participation, I mean, if the city's gonna participate, now's the time to do it.
That's
project
correct.
going on.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Mr. Woodson, is there any legal challenges here, or, you know,
It's mostly coming out with a way to piece this together and city's participation so that everybody feels comfortable at the end.
all right, so here we are, so what do we, I mean, I think they probably, this is probably a minor piece of this whole project. They probably move forward with what they're trying to accomplish with the condos and getting the space rent. Is there any way to either?
We don't have a problem with a sidewalk going in. We
Okay.
just,
How did we get there?
I think,
if that sidewalk would if it was flat ground, cost 10 grand, I bet you're talking 30 or 40 to fix the existing site conditions. You're gonna have to put retaining walls, probably some handrails, you know, a good bit. I mean, I could be off on that. I mean, but it's not as simple as if it was flat ground and
So
just.
this is just a $30,000 question? Hell, we just spent $10 million on pedestrians.
So, Mike, let me ask you, well, Mr. Chairman, you're gonna have to have a sidewalk. If you ever develop it, you're gonna have a sidewalk there. I mean, there's no way, in my opinion, for you to even get access to that place without having some sort of.
I mean, we've looked at other options of stairs or something going back up to the parking, or how we would.
But you still gotta have ADA.
You still gonna have to address it.
But anyway,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Mr. Chairman. Is there a consideration that we could approve this contingent on the city working out an agreement with the developer prior to the LDP?
That's kind of where I was
that-
driving myself, but, you know,
That-
and we
that's
had
that-
contingencies.
That satisfies me.
I think that's where we gotta go, because there's,
Are we gonna have to get an LDP? We're not changing, we don't have any site changes.
If we require you to have a sidewalk, you would.
So the statement I think I would need from you is that we can work out putting a sidewalk on your property, or you giving us additional right-of-way.
We're amenable to do what we need to do to allow the city to construct a sidewalk in that area.
Wait, so did they put all the responsibility
As
on
long
the
as we
city?
maintain vehicular access to the basement.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
We currently have it now.
I understand that.
You're gonna need to provide a traffic study that says a vehicle can safely back out into Jack Warner Parkway.
Mike, there have been LDPs on this exact site from 2000
When's the last time a vehicle backed out of one of those roll-up doors?
today. Mike, there was also a negotiation between the landowner and the city to give this right-of-way. The only one that gave right-of-way in that area, and in turn, the city was to do any improvements in that area, including installing our sprinkler line to the vault with the backflow preventer. That was the negotiation, Mike, and now y'all are changing it. I know it was before you,
You're right.
but that's not in good faith to get right-of-way
So-
and then change the
so
deal
we-
after you get the right-of-way.
So wait, first of all, let's focus on the sidewalk and quit worrying about the access, okay? Your access will be determined by when you find a use. Understood, you're doing a white box, and until you may not never need vehicular access.
I may not, but I currently have it, and I'm not looking to give it
So
up.
I'll relinquish that we will allow that access to remain, but when the time comes and it just have to be looked at when you decide what that business is gonna be and what that
And that's fine.
interaction
We will
with our
have to come
traffic
pull
is.
a permit and get approval for that business, and we have no issue with that. If we put a restaurant there, we are 100% fine. We will probably have to build some kind of wall or traffic divider at that time. We are completely fine with that.
I completely agree with that.
I go back, from y'all's standpoint, I mean, as a developer, this is a dangerous intersection. It is proven to be a dangerous intersection. I don't care what improvements we've made on Jack Warner Parkway. If you have vehicles coming from the west at higher rate of speed, you can have some issues there. A wall, yeah, that'll help. But I mean, I think that you've got some responsibility here too to make sure that this thing is safe. And we can say holler safety and human welfare all we want. I just want y'all to work with the city to come up with an amenable solution where y'all all got skin in the game.
So, I know I missed part of it. So when y'all were talking about handrails, you're gonna have to get it even and put up handrails.
I don't know. I haven't.
Did you bring up hand?
He said they may need it.
So if you put up handrails, you can't get, if I'm missing something, you put up handrails, you can't get in the thing anyway.
Well, that's so far in the weeds to get into that, but what he's saying is it's just gonna take some adjustments that may require all of that, access
So the
ramp.
infrastructure that was built 90 days ago
Right.
at the city's design, your concerns are completely valid.
Yeah,
$6 million and a bunch of time and engineers, this is what they came up with.
I've been riding around those cones, property that I own, for 25 months too. I don't like it any better than you have, okay? Yeah. And I think it probably, if they could go back and change some things, they'd go back and change a lot of things about this project. But we are where we are on the project now, and we're trying to deal with a new development, and trying to finish up a project that's 6 months late at the earliest, so.
But to your point, we're glad to work with the city to enable them to construct a sidewalk in the best manner they see fit.
So is staff, legal, engineering?
We're okay with that.
able to-
We're okay with that.
Okay,
You're
so
okay with the language?
everybody's willing to work towards a sidewalk resolution as this develops out, right? Is that what we're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. So as a petitioner, are you comfortable with us, are you okay with that language and requesting this vote?
Our request would be to approve this with the understanding that we will do all we can to reach an agreement to allow the city to construct a sidewalk in this area, retaining our vehicular access to the basement pending any change of use of the basement at building
The thing
permit.
I heard there you say was the city make the sidewalk. I'm not gonna put specific language in that and say that, but I think what we gotta get to is these parties have got to get together and work and resolve that sidewalk language issue,
Mike,
right?
We can't commit them to spend it.
But
Let's be
I guess
honest.
they're asking us to
that's-
commit to spend it. And again, there's already been a negotiation around infrastructure improvements in this exact spot. And that was the agreement that was reached. And before the project and the easements even expire, they're trying to renegotiate the deal, and I don't feel that's in good faith.
I'm just talking about the limits of our
So
authority.
you
here,
don't
Jeff.
wanna spend, you don't wanna spend the 50,000.
Correct.
Would you spend the amount that you would have spent if they hadn't be like that? I mean, like, you said it would have been 10 before, it'd be 50 now. Would you spend the 10 or whatever?
I guess I don't see the
saying?
reason for us to redesign and reconstruct the
But I mean,
existing
if you were
infrastructure
gonna have to
package.
put in sidewalks, you're saying the way that they did the grade is gonna make it more expensive. Would you put up the money that you would have had to put up had it not been that way, I guess is what I'm asking.
But when we bought this property, we already had a document and an understanding on what the requirements were for this site. That area had already been negotiated with the legal department on this site. So we had no reason to believe that there would be any expense in city right-of-way. We even had a pre-design meeting, a pre-development meeting, and this was not even brought up. So
Sidewalks were not required, but does the legal department have the authority to speak for us on this matter?
that's when they got the land. It was negotiated that they would do any work needed inside the construction area.
Is the land that you're talking about, looking at this diagram, is it what land did the prior landowner give to the city? The green or the red hash?
Not to be exact, but it'd be more in this area.
Okay.
This radius used to be tighter,
Okay,
and they fixed the radius as you see here, and so there was additional right-of-way that it was more pointed there. So it was that, and then there were construction easements in these areas. I think you can see it on the survey that we have, but,
so.
and there was no
did-
charge for that
Did those
land.
negotiations say that the city would put in a sidewalk?
No, because their design didn't have one. They decided at that time they didn't need one. When you ride down Jack Warner, it'll be even harder on every other site to put in sidewalks. They put all the underground power down there, and they put all the big, huge green boxes, some of them bigger, than that table right there, in the middle of where you would put a sidewalk. Like, I agree that it'd be neat if there were sidewalks, but there's not even sidewalks in front of the new hotel down there. It's in their name. Yeah.
So let me chime in here real quick. So this, again, is a recommending body to council. So this conversation is going to be had again at the council level, I'm assuming. So in that time, hopefully we can kind of come to another, just have those discussions and get a little bit more background information and all of that, because I don't think the conversation that we're having here is going to really go anywhere other than what it's been, So I think you guys recommending, if it seems like y'all are leaning towards maybe an approval with a condition, so if we can get that language kind of honed in, and then again just kind of start having these conversations in the background until we get to
We're not having any
council.
zoning changes or anything. It's just
No,
a matter of
this is-
getting these guys to cut loose and start doing their
Are
project.
you anticipating this being worked out prior to going to the council?
I think that's paramount.
Yeah, I think that.
I mean, I think it needs to.
And the thing with that is I believe it's 90 days that y'all have in between. Obviously, y'all aren't going to want to wait 90 days, I know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
we're
there's-
just waiting on this for a building
Yeah.
permit.
Yeah, so there is that time, there's that time that they have that we can all discuss before they push it to council.
So back to my question, Mike, regarding the LDP. I understood they were under the assumption they don't have to have an LDP on this project, and maybe they don't because no conditions are changing. But the requirement, the sidewalk would trigger an LDP, would it not?
Yeah, and according to our subdivision regulations and even the RD development, sidewalks are triggered because of the street classification. I know that, there may be others. There's validity in what they're saying, that the sidewalk was not a part of the design and the construction of this. And the only thing that I can tell you is my understanding is that decision was made, or they would have had to acquire an additional amount of property to install it. There's not enough room to install a sidewalk in the public right-of-way along Jack Warner Parkway. Maybe they thought that all of this on the south side from the Comfort Inn, and again, I've already said that, from the Comfort Inn west, that it would redevelop, new buildings, maybe, and this corner possibly included, and maybe that was just.
Well, I mean, I think this will help trigger that, to be honest with you.
I can tell you that as development proceeds on east toward Comfort Inn, the sidewalk will be a requirement.
So who was the engineer on Jack Warner?
BKI.
Yeah, Thompson Engineering, BKI.
So, is it feasible that a decision, I know they're trying to push the things, is it feasible that the decision could be made fairly quick? Could they move fast enough to figure a design out so that if it can be worked within the concept of the project, it could be done with participation from the developer at a fair rate?
Yes, sir.
That's all we can ask. That's where we're headed, Mr. Henry. You okay with that?
I didn't understand the change in the ask.
I think nothing's changed. We're gonna put the language here tonight that we're willing to approve your project contingent upon your group and the city engineer and the legal department come up with a solution on the sidewalks. And you got 90 days before you, so hopefully in 90 days, everybody can get to a place where we can agree, probably agree to disagree in some cases, but agree to get we need the sidewalks.
But will they have to wait 90 days to start work on the,
That's why, that's a question I really have.
Well, we have to get council approval in order to get building permit approval, so.
When's the soonest they can get the council, go to the council tomorrow?
Do we have a 30-day advertising on
30
this?
days.
30 days?
So that's what, so we could get on, and we don't have to advertise, do we?
Roughly a month, and there's that next week that you have to get the final approval. So roughly a month to start. It's a 2-week process.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't solve the engineering problem
No,
either
no.
tonight. But we all, from what I gather, we all would like to go ahead and give them the green light to work on what looks like a really good project with a blighted property. So can we get down to what do we say and do to move on with this and let it, what kind of language do we need?
Yeah, I think
That's
you
what
could
you said, right?
say something along the lines of recommendation of approval with the condition that staff and the city and the city and the developer come to an
Mutual
agreement.
agreement.
I get here's my issue, and I think the easiest way to do it, and again, it's from the LDP standpoint. If we explain to Mike, since the sidewalk will trigger an LDP, if we make the LDP contingent on a working solution with the city, understanding that the city is going to participate to help resolve this problem, then we just hang it on the LDP, and that way it's clean. Is that, Mike? You okay with that?
Somewhat. I think the way this may end up going is that our engineer for this project produces the sidewalk concept. And then that agreement, what that concept is, obviously has to be vetted with these landowners, because there's gonna have to be some right-of-way acquisition or easement acquisition. But I don't wanna say that they're required to do an LDP, because this may be something that the city does.
Okay.
For us, can we tie it to the commercial space so we don't hold up the residential portion or something like that?
I would say the only concern I have with that is from a zoning perspective, the use is not allowed, the apartments without without the commercial underneath.
Well, I think that my impression is the engineer's gonna get with the engineer record on this and try to get something resolved fairly quickly prior to this 30 days, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And because you've got contractors out there that are finishing up, and getting them back would be costly.
That's true. I wish we were doing this 3 months ago, but we are where we are, and we'll just, we'll move as quickly as we can.
I think this is the best you can get tonight, to be honest.
Yes, sir.
You good with that, Rich?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone care to speak or add anything to our conversation? Hope not. All right. Commission, before us, we have RD 0124, the Druid. We are looking to approve with the conditional language that the city engineering and legal will work with the engineer of record for the Jack Warner project, and work with the developer to work towards amicable agreement on the sidewalk and the cost sharing or who's gonna eat the cost of that between those parties. But I think in this case, that won't hold up the process of approvals, knowing that you'll be out of here and you'll be headed to city council next, and hopefully in that 30-day period, y'all can come to some resolution.
Motion to approve that.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Rumsey?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved. Good luck. Good project.
There you go.
All right, next up, we have a rezoning request. This is ZO 124 NYN LLC is petitioning to rezone approximately .91 acres located at 719 Skyland Boulevard East from BH to BN. This is Council District 7. So this is the location of the property on that corner of Skyland and McFarland Boulevard East. It's been a vacant bank, I believe, for a while, or it was a bank, and now it's been vacant. And you can see the zoning. They are wanting to rezone to BN, which is that blue. They're currently BH. Here's the bank as it sits today. The adjacent western property, adjacent eastern property. So the applicant is requesting to rezone in order to allow the use of a beauty supply retail store, which is not allowed in BH but is allowed in BN. I will also let y'all know that Mr. Lanier, Councilman Lanier, had submitted a letter with their petition saying that he's in favor for it. So that's one in support. So this is kind of the concept of what they're looking at, beauty for less. They have some north of the river as well, I believe in Northport. This does conform to framework. Framework identifies this as corridor commercial, which of course allows for this type of use. And there's that future land use character map. You have any questions for staff?
No. Petitioner?
Good evening, Commission. Jimmy Duncan with Duncan Coker Associates, representing NYN LLC. I really don't have anything to add. It's pretty straightforward. Zach pretty much covered everything.
Any questions for petitioner? I do know that the petitioner also has a similar business in Northport, correct?
That's correct.
So he's not new to this business in this market. So.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for petitioner?
Coincidentally, in a former closed-down bank building also.
Who what?
Coincidentally, in a former bank building also.
Oh, yeah.
In Northport.
All right. Any questions for petitioner?
Yeah, I just wondering, just straighten out a little rouge in this deal.
Wish I had a good story to go with it.
Yeah.
They can do wonders.
Yeah. All right. Get it back on track. Thank you, sir. Anyone in the audience care to speak for or against? Having heard none. Commission, before us, we have Z0124 NYN LLC, petition to rezone from BH to BN. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Dooley?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Motion approved.
All right, next up we have SO 224. This is Holman Point, consisting of 3 lots on approximately 7.1 acres located at 10607 Sexton Bend Road, and this is not in city limits. Here's the location, so pretty far north of the river, North River Yacht Club. The location, here is the preliminary plat, so you can see the 3 lots with and without contours, and the variance requests. Do you have any
Engineering on
questions
the
for staff?
variance request.
We're okay with those.
Great, thank you. Petitioner?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Chris Centel Engineering. This is, there are 3 Holmans. They're dividing 3 lots. The reason we're not doing family division is because one of them wants to sell outright. So we want to go through the subdivision process. We've submitted to the county commission and they approved it last Wednesday for the size lots on an easement. Everything's existing, all the infrastructure's in place. And there's already existing house on lot 2 for the sister.
Any questions for petitioner? Thank you, sir. Anyone in the audience care to speak for or against? Having heard none, Commission, we have before us S0224 Holman Point, 3 variance requests. Engineering has no issues with. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Rumsey?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
All right, next up, we have SO 324 TBG Peterson, a resurvey of lots 11 through 19 and part of Lot 20, Town of Peterson, Alabama, consisting of one lot on approximately 1.37 acres located at 8906 Old Birmingham Highway, not in city limits. So location of the property, yes, this is in our PJ, but very far out of city limits. Well, not very far, but out of city limits. Here's the location on Old Birmingham Highway. They are going through the process of vacating that. You can see there is a street, an alley right here that they are vacating through the county. So this is the with contours and without. There is existing homes on the lots that they will be demolished. And these are the 2 variants they're requesting, and then the county does not want sidewalks, so they have sent in that letter.
And the engineering on R2?
We're okay with that?
Great, thank you. Petitioner?
Mike Hicks with Herndon Hicks Associates, 2728 Lurleen Wallace Boulevard, Northport. I don't really have anything to add to what Zach said. The county commission's supposed to meet on the vacation of the alley next month.
Any questions for petitioner? Thank you, sir. Anyone care to speak for or against? Having heard none, Commission, we have S0324 TBG Peterson with 2 variance requests. Engineering has no issues with. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Mr. Dooley?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
All right, last item, we do have a special called meeting for Framework Wednesday, January 31st. So we'll see you guys then. That's all we got for tonight.
Meeting's adjourned.